Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Yeah, and he gave us this episode, which, if I'm honest, was actually quite enjoyable. Though thinking about it properly overall, I do have to say it was kind of middle of the road. It wasn't the most compelling of stories, and when actually thinking the different plot lines through and different, parts of the plot, yeah, it doesn't really do it for me, though it is overall a very enjoyable experience, as most Doctor Who episodes are. But it means I don't really have much to say. I can't think of much to say about it. Why don't we start with the main characters, of course, as per usual. We have the Doctor and companion for the story, Joy. The Doctor overall, excellently written, as per usual. This is a Stephen Moffat script, so of course Stephen Moffat knows the Doctor, he knows what he's doing. And this time it didn't feel as much like Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi, like he was writing for those Doctors, such as it did in Boom. It actually felt like he understood what the character was now, after seeing how he was written in Season 1? Series 14. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but seeing how he was written in Series 14, and probably used that to figure out how he was going to write the Doctor. And it was a very nice interpretation, especially in the beginning where he's in his dressing gown, he's just mooching about. It's nice to see a Doctor that's not in just straight-up adventure mode. He's just going for milk and is trying to locate fresh milk for once. It was nice to see a Doctor that's just kind of chillaxed and finally realises that there's no chairs in the console room. Which leads me to believe Series 15, we are probably going to have some chairs in the console room. To be fair, that's my biggest flaw with that console. It's such a big, open, beautiful space, so bright and vibrant, and, by far the biggest console that we've ever seen. But there's no chairs. You've got a jukebox and a console, and that's it. Nothing more. You get some chairs in there. Matt Smith had some chairs in his organic TARDIS, and he also had some in the later ones. You gotta have some chairs in there, but as he said, if he hasn't got any friends to share it with, then who's going to use the chairs? Ruby Sunday returning? I don't really see the point of having Ruby return. There are rumours that she is going to be the companion in Season 2, along with Farada Sethu, if she even is still going to be the companion, as there have been conflicting reports on that. I reckon she will be. I don't try to listen too much to fan rumours and what people say after they've seen the filming locations and kind of just guessed. Or I suppose it's contextual clues, in a way, where you're just looking at what's happening on set and thinking, right, this person's probably the companion, right? They're appearing in quite a lot. But even then, really? Are you entirely sure? I doubt it. It would be nice to have a 3-person TARDIS team, because it's nice to have 3 people bouncing off each other. 3's the perfect number. 3's the magic number when it comes to it. 2, decent, nice to have a duo. 4, okay, it's getting a bit crowded now. 5, have we ever had 5? Well, I'm not sure. No, I don't think we have, unless you count... Was Chameleon 5? No. Anyway, I'm rambling. Joy as the main companion. Honestly, not a massive fan. I don't feel like it's... Well, she wasn't even in half of the story. The whole section with Anita, where we've got the Doctor stranded on Earth again, waiting for an entire year, was really nice. It was a good 5-10 minutes of him experiencing a nice down-to-earth situation where he's just enjoying life day to day, day after day. Something that he never really does and hasn't done since the 70s, or the 80s, not really sure on that one. But it's just filler. Stephen Moffat has put in this plot device about the case needing a code, and then he tells himself in the past what the code is, creating an infinite amount of Doctors, but yeah, well, there's always going to be an infinite amount of Doctors. And then you have to explain how he got the code, so how did he get there? Well, now we've got a 5 to 10 minute whole storyline about him and Anita just getting on and being good friends. Yeah, but it was just filler. It had nothing really to do with the main plot, and while it was a really, really nice section, and I think Anita would have been a better character to focus the story on than Joy, it didn't really move anything forward. It feels like we're taking a couple steps back with that. Anita as a companion, I think would have been nice to have her as the focus. She's just a more interesting character than Joy. Joy's been set up as this character where we're supposed to really empathise with them, and I suppose a lot of people did. Personally, I can't when it comes to the COVID situation where you've lost loved ones to COVID-19. And, of course, there's the slight dig at Boris Johnson and the Conservative government having parties, rightfully so. I mean, they've put these laws into place to stop people from meeting up, and they're off having drinks while people are dying. But let's not get into that. We're not here to talk about politics. You wouldn't get that in Stephen Moffat's era, though. I can't really think of a time where Moffat as showrunner, and this is, to be fair, probably because, one, politics wasn't as divisive as it is now or has been in the last 4 years, nearly 5. And also, of course, the Conservative government was in power, so you can't really have a showrunner at the BBC, someone employed by the government, slandering the government. It's not a great image to have, and I suppose one of the perks of having a Labour government is that you can slate the Conservative government. Yeah, nice. But also, I suppose he's a writer of this story, and since he's just a writer and not the showrunner, it's not exactly as big of a deal. Though some people will get so triggered by this. I already know it. It won't be Doctor Who Twitter, but it will be the older people on Doctor Who Twitter. Mark my words on that. But in terms of empathising with Joy, other than that, I can't really find anything to do so. She's not in half of the story. Her ending, where she goes all Astrid Peth and dies, which I can't believe this is meant to be interpreted as a beautiful moment that all these people have died and are now becoming a star. People have been murdered by Villengard, which the Doctor doesn't seem to have any kind of anger whatsoever. Very out of character. He's angry at first that Villengard is back and is back to their regular shenanigans of screwing up people's lives. But then when she becomes a star and goes, no, it's okay, I'm becoming a star, I'm going to be with my mother. Yeah, but what about the other people? They didn't ask to become a star. They didn't get a choice in this. I really cannot abide by that. And then at the end, the fact that the whole time where the briefcase was picked up was Bethlehem. Why have you shoehorned that in? There was no reason for it whatsoever, honestly. I guess it ties it up and makes it a nice, feel-good, fantastical Christmas special, just like most of Moffat's ones, but that, not for me. Briefly, we panned over a clothing shop, which is, I think it was called Mr. Ben's Clothing Shop. Now, I had absolutely no idea what this is, but the two older people in my life, being my parents who I watched this with, immediately recognised this as a TV show from their childhood, where a man called Mr. Ben would go into a clothes shop, he would take out some kind of contemporary clothes, then go into the back and go to that time period, which leads me to think Stephen Moffat, who is of a similar age to them, definitely just nicked this entire concept and idea from that show, which of course there's nothing wrong with that, but hats off to you, Stephen Moffat. Excellently done. That's all I've got to say, though, really. In terms of the story overall, as I said at the beginning, it was enjoyable, but at the same time, very middle of the road and samey. If I was to place it in terms of the other Christmas specials that we've had, it would definitely rank somewhere towards the bottom middle, 100% above Doctor, Widow and Wardrobe. I mean, it was not as bad as that absolute garbage. But still, all the same, a very enjoyable watch. And with that, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a very merry rest of your Christmas. I'll see you next time.